Hello guys, welcome back to another YouTube video here today. And today we are coming back to you with a Mantra Rafa update. This is Mantra Rafa 2.0. And so we are using the Mantra here for melee. And we're using the 9001 with Jacobson Ripper, 7.4 fire rate. We're also using the Dark Beast because so we're using the Dark Beast for ordinate enemies just because it's more easier to take them out, and it still works really well on this build, even though it is focused on melee. And then we're using the Enrage and Hard Hitter for single bosses. And then we're also using a triple bypass for Bloom so we can get our action skill back easier. And then we're using a crit knife for extra damage if you want to use a crit knife. You don't really need to, but you can. Then we're using the Devastating Dancer. This one has critical hit damage and axial cooldown rate. It has 5 points in Tamario and 1 in Zotaro and the Thrill. And then we're using the Triple Siphon Watch for dinner. And then we're using a Ripper enhancement. This one has shotgun critical damage, and shotgun magazine size. And we have Action Fist. And then for firmware, we are using 2 real big fists for more melee damage, 1 bullet spare for extra fire rate, 1 God Killer because it benefits the melee and the elemental damage from the gun. And then we're using 1 action fist for even more melee damage. And then for the skill tree, we're putting 5 in Sitar. You get 25% gun damage, 5 in Jagar. So you get action skill cooldown rate on critical, 2 in Resilience. So you get damage reduction. And then we use 3 in Elventa. You get damage to dealt of 30%. And then we're using 2 in Vitriol. So you get the bonus corrosive damage on your first fully loaded mag. Then we're using 5 in Ismatic Warfare. In direct projectiles, gain increased damage. So this gives you a 45% increase in damage if you're a mantra. If you're using this, plus this, if you're using this, you get bonus fire damage dealt when you're using your mantra. So if you're using the fire mantra, it is going to do way more damage than it already was before. And then for the green tree, we are using 5 in handshake and deal. So we get extra gun damage and melee damage. This skill is super good for this build. And then we put 5 points in diamond hands. Dealing melee damage grants a stack of Rafa. A stack of diamond hands, gains increased gun damage for every stack of diamond hands. Once Rafa deals gun damage, stacks to begin decay, which we're not dealing gun damage with the mantra. We are always doing melee damage with the mantra. So this is always proccing, and we're always getting extra damage. Now for the blue tree, with 5 points in Lost Jars, so we have ammo regen. 5 points in Par Dentro, so we have a little bit of health regeneration. This is really nice. Then we put 5 points into First Impressions, so you get 50% more gun damage on your first shot. And then we put 5 points in El Saddle, so you get 30% more gun damage. This is more while your overdrive bonuses are active and you're killing enemies. And then we put 5 points into Larjaris, so we get more gun handling and action skill handling. So with the mantra, there is a lot of fire rate going on here. It was really hard to control when I first made this build. So now we are putting points into Larjaris since we have enough points. This helps out tremendously, and it's way more controllable now compared to what it was before. It is a lot better now. So this build has improved a lot with the level cap because the gun is more controllable and so does the really good damage. And then we're using the best defense, so you get 30% damage when shields are full. And then we're using Riddle You This, so you get gun damage per stack. And then we're using Bare Arms, so melee damage, you get a 50% increases the damage. Mantra can actually take double benefits from this. And then we're using Groundbreaker, gun action skill, and ordnance damage is stored. Sword damage is 20%. Sword damage duration is only 5 seconds long. And that is it for the build video. I hope you guys enjoy this build video. Leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.